Welcome back. Another edition of Danger and Danielle's Tactical Breakdown. We're going to look at the 2-1 defeat the Earthquake suffered to the Columbus Crew last weekend. Thanks for joining us. So let's talk a little bit about first what went right, what went wrong, just general overall thoughts, especially that first 25 minutes where the Quakes were a bit on the back foot. What did you see as the biggest issues then?
Well, in the first 25 or so, you know that on the road in Major League Soccer, the team's always going to come and go high press, and Columbus did that as well. I thought the team defensively, the shape was good. Although Columbus had most of the possession in that first 25, they didn't really create clear-cut opportunities. Alfo on the right-hand side was causing a little bit of trouble for Flo, with Vaco not following him every time. But I think when we talk about the Quakes being able to create opportunities, it really comes down to how can the ball get to the danger players up front, those four up front. And I thought in the first 20 or 25 minutes or so, those guys weren't really interchanging very much. They weren't combining very much. Maybe at times they weren't working hard enough to show, to give options to the midfielders and the guys from the back to be able to find them in the feet or even the spaces. And on the counter of that, you got to look at some of the quality of the passes that was coming from the defensive area, even the midfield area, to players like Danny Houston. He's playing against a tough defender in John Mensah. You know that guy. He would kick his grandmother. I'm seriously. He's one of those guys, right? And he was just loving it when the ball was sitting way up in the air and Danny's trying to flick it, and he was coming through the back of him. It's not Danny's game. He wants the ball to his feet, but it was a combination of the quality of the passing, but also I think the work rate of the four up front to find space for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you have to appreciate how hard they're working and pressing and defensively, but that same attention to detail has to be there on the ball when the Quakes are on attack so they can maintain possession a little bit better. So let's talk about the goal against, because that came just after that 25 minutes we were talking about, goal scored by Offal in the 28th minute.
I thought it was a little bit of a soft free kick. It was a shoulder-to-shoulder barge. I think it was Magnus, and could have gone either way. Coach Starry was right there, and he was calling it this way, and their coach was calling it that way. Anyway, they took a quick free kick from that, caught the Quakes a little bit flat-footed. It's worked across, little deflection off of Anibal, goes to the danger man. So it's Higuain is on the ball. He's not the guy you want on the ball with space, obviously. And I think Flo recognizes that. But Flo Youngworth has got two decisions. One, I go and close down the danger man. And two, there's a guy coming on the outside who's free, and that would be Alfo. And I think that maybe, under the circumstances, it would have been a better decision to, I'm going to go with the runner versus close down Higuain. He didn't get there in time.
Yeah.
Alfo is gone. Vaco hasn't tracked him. And that's one of those situations where I think the timing of the play just caught everybody a little bit off guard. And it was a quality ball by the man that really makes them tick, and that's Federico Higuain. The pace of the pass was perfect. Nothing Tarbell could do because it was just one of those, think Alfo could have shot it in 2 or 3 different places, and he hit a good strike and roofed it. Breakdown, poor reaction maybe from the whole team there, getting caught a little bit flat-footed on a quick take of the free kick, and the tracking of the runner on the right-hand side.
So the Quakes do get a little bit of momentum and respond what I thought was pretty well after giving up that first goal. Start to get a little bit more on the front foot in the end of the second half. Danny Houston has a couple of opportunities, one of which he converts into a goal. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, just towards the end of the first half, I thought the Quakes started to find the front guys, and the movement of the front and the interchange of the positions of the front guy was key. And there's a sequence of play that led up to the first goal where the ball is moved around very nicely. You can see combinations, and you can see it dropping to Danny Houston. Very unfortunate on the deflected shot. In fact, a really good save by Zach Steffen. But the Quakes kept it alive, and then they've had the ability to circulate the ball back out to a Flo Youngworth, who's taken the space on the left-hand side. And once again, all the credit in the world to Flo, playing in another position, not his favorite position. He can't be his favorite position, no. Left back, right? And he, who knew he had the left foot like this? It's a great service. You know that quality of service coming from an outside fullback is so key. Danny pulls off his marker. Great cushion header back into the direction where the ball came from. Nothing Zach Steffen could do about it. And it was a really good goal for the Quakes at a good time. But I was more impressed with the fact that there was pressure for about 45 seconds there of keeping the ball, 2 opportunities, and they put one away. And that was a real good platform to start the second half. So Danielle, I thought that the team came out after a good finish to the second half, but they came out with, I thought, a better purpose. And the key for us was the movement of the guys up front again.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly there. I thought that the interchange was what was the difference maker. There were moments when you saw Vako drifting inside, you saw Danny Houston coming out to the left, you saw Wando pushing up a little bit higher, and I think that is the key for the Earthquakes. That interchange allows them to keep the ball better. Defensively, it's much harder to defend because you're having to decide, do I pass attackers, do I stay with them? And I thought, especially in that second half, I thought Magnus Eriksson comes away with a good opportunity. Vako late in the game comes away with a good opportunity. And I think that interchange makes it unpredictable, harder to defend, and was the difference maker.
Yeah, I like it when Wando goes wide and Danny Houston comes wide. Do you see with those 4 and 5 with Hiko in that mix as well, where a Wando could go more than number 9 at times and Vako could be under that space underneath and Danny's wide? Yeah. I know that Danny's not his favorite position though.
No, I mean, I think Danny Houston last year showed he can do the work. Maybe not for the whole 90 minutes. It's not something he's going to want to do. But I think Wando brings that grittiness, that personality, that willingness to just work when he's not getting a lot of the ball, which he didn't in the game, that he's willing to put pressure on the defenders. Danny Houston can certainly go vertical. And Vako, in those tight spaces, we know that he can deliver the ball and be tight on the ball when he needs to be. So for me, I'd like that variety. I really do.
So Danielle, for all the good work in the second half, and there was some good interaction and some opportunities created by the Earthquakes, there's a breakdown in the 85th minute.
Yeah, and you know, oftentimes when teams give up goals, it's a series of incidents, not always mistakes, but things that happen to lead to the goal. And in watching this goal back, there were 7 really key things that could have prevented the goal entirely. First of all, you look at Jackson making that square pass instead of playing it out wide to Nick Lima. Second, Danny misses the tackle when he's trying to recover, but maybe perhaps there's a moment there to make a professional tactical foul. 3, Flo Youngworth has 2 guys in his channel, so he can't step to the ball. He's kind of caught there in having to make that decision. 4, when that runner does eventually lead out of his channel, Flo hands off the attacker, but he doesn't step quickly. And when he does step, it forces Santos inside, but he doesn't get close enough to really put pressure on the ball and make a significant difference. 5, Magnus, who's working his butt off. He tries to recover for Nick Lima, but can't ultimately come away with that tackle. 6, Harold Cummings gets good pressure on the ball, but allows Grella to take that touch inside so he can shoot from a better angle. And 7, Tarbell doing what he can in that moment, but to me, cheats a little bit and is a little bit off kilter going towards their far post, and Grella shoots near. So all of those 7 opportunities in those different ways could have stopped and prevented that goal.
Yeah, I'd agree with all those points, but I think to simplify it, I think when you're an attacking midfielder, when you get into that offensive area and your right back has made a really good run and you know that he's committed himself forward and he's on, you got to give it to him.
Yeah.
And I think when the moment when Jackson just tries to do something a little bit different and it's a square ball, Lima's out of position, and if you think about it, it's his man at the end of the day that scores the goal. And so I think, unfortunately, I think Jackson, who I thought had a very good game, just made the wrong decision there.
So thanks for joining us with Danger and Danielle's Tactical Breakdown. We're back at home right here at Avaya Stadium in just a couple of days. We're going to celebrate Chris Dangerfield and his Hall of Fame induction, and the Earthquakes are going to hopefully take down the Portland Timbers.